Hello fans of Marvel heroes and friends of my channel, welcome to this special episode on the upcoming Omega items and Omega patch. My name is Wilfred and I'm going to play a little bit of the Big Ten event. For those who may not know what Big Ten event is, it's supposed to have quite a number of events happening at the same times. There is some special discount here and there. So I play a little bit. I'll be swapping heroes a bit here and there to give you a flavor of different kind of heroes out there. I'll be playing Magic, Electra, Angela, K-Bishop, Rogue, Psylocke, and all those heroes having a great 80 set legendary. So they're pretty well geared. But it's kind of interesting for me to revisit this set of heroes of mine. Now I've got other heroes that has great 80 legendary as well, but just these are the ones I kind of enjoy playing. Is that I think not all heroes are well balanced in some sense. I mean, I obviously there are some heroes that are super strong, kill things really fast, and there are just some heroes kind of slow as well. But it is what it is. In this game, the heroes are never ever balanced. So I do have a lot of concern over the Omega Prestige, because today you thought, well, this hero is fine and and good, but then I can guarantee you, because I've played this game since 2013 March, closed beta, this game never balanced the heroes, and there are heroes that are always stronger, and strong hero never stay strong all the time. So today you may say, wow, I really enjoy hero ABC. And I invest a lot of money in it to get the all the cost Omega Prestige done up nicely, and whoa, I'm super strong and powerful. But guess what? Another hero XYZ with the Omega Prestige cap could well be stronger than you are. So that's just one of those things in this game is very common. So it's also one of those reasons why I've never used. But these days I don't use any of these ultimate token, because I never know which hero really good. Now take a look at this fight, by the way. The bug is still there. Now the Rhino is trolling there and is hitting me there, right? And my magic died. So it is one of those things that the bug's been around since, I think, ever since the MM kind of days, or Rhino days, that they've added the arrow there. But it's still there. This game is still full of old bugs and all. Just want to show you this part, because I was a little bit annoyed. Usually I don't die in this kind of cosmic terminal. It's just embarrassing, but I couldn't help it. They point it one side, but they they charge it on the other side. So big news, not that it's that big. The Omega patch, which come with the new Omega difficulties as well as the Omega item, will take longer to come to the PC world. I think a lot of us are expecting this Omega patch to come up just a month or so after the biggest update ever. Now that was the initial kind of communication. If you go back to what they talked about in the past, so biggest update ever was in January. So a lot of us were expecting the now why is there a World Stone on the other side? It's kind of puzzling. A lot of us are expecting the Omega patch to come out in February, and they keep mum about it until I think they promised something like September, which is already 7 months delay, and after that October, and then, well, I mean, the final date, yet another new kind of a deadline is the Thanksgiving this year, they said. Now, for those who are not from America, which I'm not, and I still do not know what Thanksgiving is, except it sounds really cool, give thanks to people around you, maybe, I don't know, is that in year 2017, which is this year, Thanksgiving is November 23rd. So the Omega patch will be coming up towards the end of the November, which is the end of the year, almost I can't even count how many months of delay. So well, around about maybe close to a year kind of the delay. Personally, I do not think that this patch will come up in November. I'd rather they say just next year, because if they miss the November deadline, which is very likely, December no one's gonna be around coding. Everybody would be celebrating Christmas. I hope Gazillion people get to have a chance to celebrate Christmas. I mean, you know, seriously, I believe you guys deserve a kind of a break as well. This game is so draining. I can imagine. I mean, it's so draining for me to wait for anything to happen. It must be very draining for the people inside try to code something. Yeah, you are my empathy. So November 23rd is what they said, but I wouldn't really bet on it. I think it's 2018. And the reason why they gave is that they say unifying the contents across the 3 platforms is actually harder, more difficult than they have anticipated. Now, this is a good reason. I mean, you know, we all need a reason why you know, the update is just so slow, right? The development of it. If you take a look at other companies like maybe GGG does the Path of Exile, I believe they have different teams to do different things, and because of their success, I think they have more resources as well. So suffice to say, this is not going to be the end of delays or whatever. You can probably, you know, imagine that moving forward, any new content will be extremely slow to go across the 3 platforms because it's just so hard to unify them. It is just what it is, I believe. I think it, you know, looking at this one, I'm not expecting new content to come up at a pace like the PC world before, because they stretch really thin, right? They have Xbox One, they have PS4. Their PC, they have Macintosh as well. So there's really no, I don't think they have, they can cope with the kind of like, you know, new content review design that's coming up fast enough. So my take is that, you know, for the console world, maybe it's still quite good because there are still new heroes to release into the console world. But, you know, for the PC world, I think, you know, I still think that this game is going to go into maintenance mode after the Omega patch is out, because there's no way that new content can be out that fast, having such a difficulties in unifying the platforms. And if you take a look at the Omega car patch, or in some sense the entire Omega kind of like, you know, biggest update ever, David Bravitt has left the company in January 2016. So it takes them close to 2 years just to sort out the stats. I mean, there aren't really a lot of like contents per se. Well, this is a new terminal, so-called, with some items. But as you can see, the rest of it is just like console port that somehow port it back to PC, which I think is still a silly idea. And then just some itemization in the Omega kind of items. That's it. I mean, you know, I don't think it's really a lot of development. Maybe I was wrong. You know, I'm not really a game developer, although I've done technology work before. So the next bit is the the Omega patch is going to come out in the console first. So I mean, long time ago they said that PC is a leading platform. There's in no way they are. In fact, I think console is going to be the first one. I think in my last video I did talk about what the console world is like. By the way, this is the Big 10 kind of like loot boxes. I got nothing much out from it. And I've got 2 of those boxes as I play as well. So now back to the console first kind of thing. I think moving forward they will have the console first. I think console has quite a lot of players that sign up to it. In my last video, I've looked into one of the websites that track the trophies for PS4, and I think some of you mistaken me saying that that is the absolute number that represent the entire PS4 kind of like a world. Well, it isn't, right? Because like Steam as well, you know, Steam number doesn't represent all the players in PC world, because some don't use Steam to launch the game, which I'm fully aware. But when it comes to looking at statistics like that, you think about your sample size, because sometimes you can never really able to get the entire population for whatever reason, not just the game, could be anything else, from how many hours do you sleep per day, is it like hurting your health in some way. I mean, these are all like statistics, right? There's not ever going to be a whole population kind of answer to it. But the takeaway from the PS4 kind of like statistic is that I think at one point the game in Marvel Heroes Omega was as popular as, say, Destiny 2. as of as of today. So it is a big news because I think Destiny 2 got millions of players across Xbox One and PS4, and maybe it is true that when they say they've got millions of player with the console world for Marvel Heroes Omega, that is the truth. But the reality is that only 1%, based on the sample size, of course, only 1% after 3 months stay on with the game. So 99% left the game after they discover the game. So this is not really that encouraging, but perhaps it is still better than the PC, because PC is almost dead. If you look at the Steam number, it's just getting worse and worse. So so maybe it makes sense to go for console first. Maybe they've done their mathematics and realizing that they're not getting a lot of new players in the PC world, and veterans in the PC world are not spending, which I don't. But there's still quite a fair bit of new players in the console who may be willing to just spend more. So I think from now on you can take it as the news that console is going to be the first leading product, not the PC ever. So now, as a consolation prize, and I think a lot of us has been asking for the Spider-Woman. Will be out together with the the Omega patch in November 23rd, if they are sticking to their schedule. So Spider-Woman has been a hero that many people have been asking. It's going to be a 6-month PC exclusive. I don't think it's a big deal really, but if they say so, then yeah, I mean it is so, because there are still quite a lot of heroes that PC has that console doesn't have. Not really a big deal for any PC. Do we feel special? We have Spider-Woman for 6 months that the console doesn't have. Well, I mean, console doesn't have quite a lot of heroes as well, like we do, but we don't think it that way. Well, at least I don't think it that way. All right. So now, going back to the Omega item, is that there will be an Omega trial, which I personally am not really that looking forward to. Because they will unlock the Omega difficulties, then after that the items will have the additional kind of affixes for the Omega item. So you do the trial, you pass the trial, then you are eligible to do higher difficulties to earn the item. So you won't be able to get the Omega item even if you are so you just won't be able to get the Omega items if you're not in the Omega difficulties. You have to pass the test. So that made me think, I hope the test is not too taxing, because I think, a lot of people, I think in the past, have difficulties in passing the cosmic trial. And, if you don't pass the cosmic trial, it's really no big deal, not that much of a big deal, because, you still have access to unique, you still have access to almost everything, really. It's just a bit slower, I mean, from a gearing perspective. But not being able to access the Omega gear is quite kind of a big deal, because, a lot of this fun thing, I think, is going to come from the Omega affixes, and see how fast Electra kill. That's what I meant. Some heroes are just so fast anyway. So I'm not really a big fan of Omega Trial, to be honest. And the I mean, every game has this sort of gates. Even Diablo 3 has such a gate. But Diablo 3 is that if you can pass the Greater Rift 70 in any character within the season or standard, all the character in your account will be eligible for Primal Ancient drop. Now, I'm not saying Primal Ancient is great, but what I'm saying is that just any heroes that pass the gate is enough for the account to be worthy of the Omega kind of drops. So I was thinking maybe it's it's kind of bad that way, rather than every hero has to gear towards that way. But I mean, games like Path of Exile also have trials. Their trials even harder, to be honest. The labs, the labyrinth, that is for every hero as well. So I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me. But I mean, there again, the labs are also, you could say, is a little bit optional in some sense, that you could still do quite a lot of content without the Uber lab kind of difficulties. I think even in the past, but it's certainly good to have the last set because you have some passive. But that's about it. It's not like really denying you of any gear if you don't pass the gate. Yeah. So that is That's my thought on the Omega item, Omega trial itself. Not a big fan of the trial, you know me. Although I probably can do it, but just not a big fan that some not able to do it, kind of thing. I feel for those of you who, some of you who are just unable to get, certain set of items because, you can't pass it for whatever reason. Maybe not enough, like, infinity point, or just not experienced with how this game works. It's not really a good feeling, I think. So what are the Omega item now? It is a stronger set of the cosmic item. So there will be 30 new Omega items. I think the messaging is a little bit misleading. It's actually 30 set of new Omega items. So the item is slot 1 to 5, which is like your glove, your pants, your weapon. The 5 slot on your hero. So instead of collecting cosmic, you still go for cosmic, but in addition, there's another affix there, and there are 30 new set of affixes. And I'll go through some of the example and my thoughts on that. So what really means is that the Omega kind of affixes has some kind of thematic kind of named, and you can stack up to say 5 times on that. So it's more or less like a set items. The more items you have on that type will you benefit more bonuses, and that's about it really. It is what it is. So I'm not a big fan of cosmic item. I tell you why, because I think unique is still a better kind of like a set, because in unique there are actually multiple sets. I don't know whether you guys are aware that some heroes in the past, like the Black Widow and so on, will have different set of the unique items to collect. So it's kind of fun. I think as time goes by, they're getting lazier and lazier, or the design is getting simpler and simpler. Sorry, people don't like to hear laziness. So the unique become quite like not big deal. It's just one set. But then the unique usually have some sort of like interesting Marvel flavor to the character. Like for example, Emma Frost unique will summon the Cyclops to sort of like go along with her. So each of the unique have some kind of like differences according to the hero in Marvel. So it becomes like I'm playing a game, yes, but I'm playing a Marvel game because the unique that I picked up has a Marvel theme to it for the character. So that is one of the reasons why I like the unique design personally. And also the affixes is just these are fixed affixes. So I just need to compare the affixes to see whether I got it maxed out or not. But the cosmic gear, to me, I know in the past there are some people in the forum who were very vocal about cosmic item farming. Now, to me, cosmic item farming is very tedious. To go through each and every single yellow item and to think about the affixes and to trade off the affixes through my head without even some kind of help, like say Diablo 3 that give you kind of like thematically how things are compared against each other. By the way, I got stuck here. Yay! It's always like that. How many times this kind of bug is around? Seriously, it just. Yeah, back to the whole cosmic item wise, it's just it's not. I'm not a big fan. So now looks like it in Omega kind of like a thing. You need to do that. So not only do you need to collect the right affixes for your hero, which I presume there's some kind of like a priority to it, and you have to collect the right set items, the theme to it, and you have to collect 5 sets of the same theme of the right affixes for your hero. So there's a lot of gear examination as you play, and I'm not really a big fan of it, but maybe some of you are. I know some in the past been very vocal about having to examine every single items, and you find it fun, but not many people do. I don't think I do. But in any case, that it is what it is. So now take a look at the example here. It's the Quicksilver one. So if you do a med kit, you gain two dash charges, and after that, well, is it a big deal? Well, it's no big deal, because if you take a look at the Infinity system, you have that kind of things. So what's new there? I do not know. Then it's 30% dodge multiplier. Again, big deal? Not really. Synergy has it. I don't know. Then after that, 15% crit hit chance to dash power, which is nice, but it's like a passive anyway. What's the big deal? Huh? Another dodge multiplier, yawn, and after that, 50% damage to dash power. Okay, So I mean, you know, basically, if you manage to get the Quicksilver for your, like, you know, hero, I suppose you do a lot of dashing, then it's a nice buff. But all this seems very passive to me, right? And the and of course additional, like, you know, 1 second cooldown to dash power, but then you are compensated with more dash power kind of charges. So, well, I don't know, not really a big fan. Okay, next one, the Gamora garment, which is yet another kind of like example here, is that you know, I think they're trying to position like a non-crit kind of like a build kind of thing. Like, you know, every time you are not crit, hit something that are not crit, you gain something called focus that give you like a 2% crit chance. So, you know, you may have sacrificed, say, 20% of the crit chance to gear something else like crit damage, because you just don't take the crit chance. Like in the Infinity system, maybe you just trade off from there. And then to make up the 20%, you hit 10 times and they crit one more time for you. Okay. And increase the crit, but you know, in any case, you'll be critting anyway. Then the second rank is 50% crit damage. Okay, pretty nice. And after that, the third and fourth is really about you know, instead of 2% crit chance increase when you kind of like, you know, don't have a crit, become 2.5% or 3%. Is it really a big deal? I mean, do you really feel like you're I mean, can you even play the crit game? No, you can't, because crit is by chance, whether you crit or not. Like if you take a look at my gameplay right now, I'm playing a Hawkeye, which kind of crit a lot. But because I turned the number off, in some case because it's just too messy on the screen, I can't really see anything. So whether I crit or not, it doesn't give me any feedback anyway. I mean, you know, do I get excited when I crit more or less? I probably don't, but yeah, I mean, that's just my view. You know, sometimes my view hardly matters these days. So now we are able to pick and match, mix and match. So I presume there are like 30 sets of like Omega kind of items, and you got to sort of like mix and match one of them to each other, to make it like your build. They sell it as this way, right? So let's examine what other kind of like you know, set items are there to just get an idea, right? Are we able to mix and match like rank 1 of this, you know, plus the other 2 ranks of the third one, and another 2 ranks, and oh, my hero is played differently, right? So now the very first one is the you know, more on the stealth side. I think they're trying to have something called like a weak point strike, which is rank 1, and after that, if you get to rank 5, you say, whoa, you know, I get extra damage on my weak point strike, which is good. But in some sense, I mean, if I have a stealth hero that rely on this weak point strike, I probably would want to get all 5 of them. I mean, why would I want to mix it something else? I don't know. But just my thoughts on this whole mix and match kind of thing. Design-wise, again, I mean, does it really change the way I play? I mean, it's all these procs, right? I mean, it proc to something called weak point strike, and after that, you know, more damage to my weak point strike. Yay! But I don't really think that changed the way that I'm going to approach a stealth hero. That's my point. I mean, it's not like I can have some non-stealth power become a stealth power. That would be quite interesting, right? I mean, some of the power that I could actually do it as a stealth power, right? But that's just my thought. I'm not a game designer, of course. I bet there are more talented people in Gazillion. But anyway, the movement, the second one is more of a movement thing. It's just buff and buff and buff. And sort of like you can have like 20 stat, 30 stat, or you know, 10 stat, 20 stat, 30 stat. Now this is rather interesting because in some sense, if you don't really see yourself gaining that many stacks, I presume there's some UI that you can see. I really hope that you have some UI to see. Because if there's a lot of stop and go, like transition from room to room, you probably don't have that many like buff. I don't know, you have to always go back to 1 again. So it doesn't seem like a very good kind of like Omega item to me, at least to me, because I need to keep moving, keep hitting. I think if you are in patrol, probably it works, but then you know, you have all these stop and pick up item, stop, pick up item, and your bag is full, and you're opening a box inside that has a box I mean, yeah, I mean, you have to pick up a box and you open the box and then pick up an item again, and you probably lose a lot of buff anyway. So you know, it could be one of those that are eligible for mix and pick and mix. But it seems that it's quite kind of rare. I mean, kind of odd to design something crap just for us to mix and match, because you say, hey, you know, the rank 5 is not that great, you know, rank 3 or 5, 4, 5 is not that great. So yeah, I mean, you can pick and mix and match with something else that make it even more awesome. So you just need to you know, pick the first one or whatnot. So you know, kind of strange, but anyway. So that is our movement one, and you can have one for the fire as well. That looks kind of good. My only critique is that I'm not a fan of all this proc thing. I'll tell you why. Because I like to be in control of what happened. Like when I see the boss, I want to dump all my major power onto him. But then, you know, if I'm going to proc something, like for example, he bubble up and I proc something, because there's no control to it, I feel dumb kind of thing, right? Why would I want to proc this thing? And whatever you proc, it lasts for X seconds, then cooldown for Y second. So it is like, okay, another time after it proc, I have to wait until it hit the Y second, and after that, you know, it come back in again. I just don't like the kind of like mechanism. You know, if you take a look at other games like Diablo 3, the procs are, you know, kind of nice, man. I mean, these are things that really go along with the power that you use or skill that you use, like the mage for my necromancer, that it can be useful all the time. Like my fire bat, witch doctor, that, you know, if I do fire bat, you know, I'll gain like a damage reduction or healing and whatnot. It's good because I'm in control of the affixes of the item rather than just by chance, right? This game is just so many things by chance and many things by mech kit. It's just crazy if you think about it. But maybe, you know, looking at all these things, maybe they are constrained by the fact that this whole Marvel Heroes game framework is very limited on what they can do as a game. Maybe, I mean, you know, and I don't, maybe the Gazillion, after the old team have left, no one is able to improve this framework to make it work for some other better kind of like a thing, like, you know, like how Path of Exile does it, or how you know, Diablo 3 does it. I mean, but that's just my speculation. Then you have something called Force Power. I think overall it's pretty good. You know, it seems kind of good. I mean, overall kind of buff here and buff there for Force Power. And then there's another one on the melee that to me it just looked like some passive power. It could well be one of the specialization or power or trait that give you a set of like passive, and then you have to go and collect all these affixes to it, which I thought is a bit not that fantastic. By the way, this is one of my most beloved, like, you know, ultimate ever in the whole entire game. It's just so beautiful. Just that it is not that powerful. That's all. So now, looking back on all these announcements now, of course, by no means this is the end of it. They only like showcased like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kind of like, you know, set, and out of 30 sets. I'm not entirely convinced that it'll be fun to mix and match. I'm not even convinced that collecting all these things will be fun anyway. It sounds like a chore to me. I don't see that it's like a game changer for me. Like, you know, a lot of us left the game, and looking at this patch, will you have the urge to come back in and play so they can collect like cosmic items, but with an additional affix to it that you have to keep collecting, making sure that it merges nicely with your cosmic item? I do not know whether I like the kind of RNG or not. But back to the set itself, I mean, today there are 30 sets. From one of the developers, it confirmed that in the next patch after the Thanksgiving patch, if they still have Thanksgiving patch, there will be another 5 more items. So that is, well, that is 35, and they intend to add more and more. So there will be, you know, and I think one of you raised a very good concern, because does it mean that it will take longer and longer to even collect the set that you want? That leads me to the next part of it, right? Because, you know, if it is hard to collect the entire set, and will tend to, like, you know, like if you collect a set and you're not quite sure, like, you know, do I use it or not? And because some heroes have multiple builds, right? Like my my Psylocke here could potentially be a melee build or even ranged build. Some heroes like Deadpool, that is very nice as a melee build or range build or even movement build. Same goes to Spider-Man as well. Does it mean that you have a lot of gear to collect? I mean, I think the answer is yes, and that would kind of be sucks, because I think it is also one way for them to sell more inventory, because, you know, how are you going to keep all these items anyway? Yeah. And the last point, of course, is whether it promotes kind of homogeneity or not, because I think in this game, ever since the biggest update ever, the whole thing is very generic. The heroes are getting, like, you know, you're collecting the same set of gear as you know, say I have a melee hero like X23 and I have a melee hero like maybe Electra. Both also have some movement. Then I'm collecting the exact same set of gear with the exact same set of like Omega kind of thing to it. But the worst thing about this game is that I can't even like swap gear like Diablo 3 easily. That I can have like Traveler's Pledge and the Compass Rose, and I'll just like swap it between the Witch Doctor and the and my Necromancer. I can't do that. Every time I do that, I need to go and you know, unbind, which cost quite a fair bit. So it becomes like you have to farm one set for X23 and you have to farm another set for Electra, and both basically are just exactly the same build. In terms of from Omega gear perspective, I'm just speculating, right? So, or it could be, you know, if you look at Punisher ranged versus the Hawkeye range, both are physical, then you may end up having the same thing that you are collecting anyway. So you run through the cosmic trials just to get the same set of, you know, I don't know, maybe you just use same set of heroes, like if my Punisher is good, I just use a Punisher to collect all the Omega set for all my, you know, kind of a range physical hero. I don't know. That could be one of the things that they promote. So nope, I'm not a fan, and they're just too much of RNG to be for my liking. And if I look at the way that they design, it's very much like the, how should I say? If you look at the legendary, right? Legendary weapon for the grade 80, you have the, you know, if you are doing physical, be it as in a range of melee, you may take an axe, or you're doing range, you take a bow, or you're doing melee, you take an Excalibur, or you are doing, you know, some hybrid stuff that you can't really define the kind of damage type. You pick a shield, and if you are doing like, you know, some damage type A or B, you take a Warlock, or you take you know, take an energy rod. But essentially is, you know, once you are onto that type, and you just pick exactly the same thing all the time, right? There's no change in the legendary per se, grade 80. And it's quite fortunate that the legendary 80 is somewhat, they are balanced to each other. Now, all these 30 set, soon to be 35, once they release the patch, and even more like 40 set or whatnot, all these Omega gear, would they be balanced to each other, right? Because if I say I have X23, which can be a movement hero, can be a melee hero, both are either full movement or full melee. So I have two Omega sets, right? So if assuming that affixes are exactly the same, are those going to be, you know, the same kind of balance between the two? Would that be a fact that, well, you know, the movement one really sucks, no matter what, just don't use that one? Right, that kind of scenario. I don't know. That make it like, and eventually it'll be like, well, you know what? I mean, if you are playing this hero, you pick this Omega set. This hero, that Omega set. So once you figure that one out, I mean, initially there's a lot of fun and confusion because you try to learn like what works, what doesn't. But I presume very soon then you realize that, well, it's really no big deal. It's just the same set of thing that you use here and there. So I mean, that's my thought, and you know, feel free to also express your thought as well. I think you know, I think looking at the type of things that they're trying to do here, the overall Omega gear just to buff the damage type is, I mean, I'm not a big fan. Some of them could just be a passive kind of thing. Proc, I'm not a big fan of procs, and you know, sometimes I think they try to put in something that's game changer, which like the, you know, if you don't want to gear for crit, you could do something else on that. But I really don't think they really work out. I mean, if you like to take a look at Path of Exile, it's a good example whereby you can actually pick a note whereby you do not crit at all, but you have quite a lot of benefit by not critting. You can actually build something totally different, kind of like the way that you gain something that you can never miss anything, although you can never crit, kind of thing. So to me, those are game changer, but this sort of thing is not really game changer to me. So am I disappointed? Not really. I don't really expect a lot from this anyway. So tell me, what do you think about it? And I'm always very keen to hear from you. All right. Thank you very, very much for watching. I do have a upgrade on this one. So I was looking at it. Yeah, this is an upgrade. Great. So I think I've spent about 40 minutes playing this whole Big Ten event. I'm not impressed. Not really getting a lot out from it. I only have like one unique upgrade. One cosmic artifact. I don't know whether you catch it just now on the screen. One cosmic artifact. But that's about it. I don't really have anything else after 40 minutes of playing. I can't regret though, because I think in some other game I'll have getting much more from it. But anyway, that's my view. Tell me what you think about the Omega patch and stuff like that. Are you getting excited? All right, so I'll see you next time. Have fun. Good luck in whatever you do, and bye.